for all of us, and if we wish to represent Prabhupada, I mean, if we want to be independent, of course it's up to us how we behave to a great extent, but if we are to be part of the mission that Lord Chaitanya established and which has been passed on to us through Lord Chaitanya, then of course it's Krishna conscious to be conscious of public opinion. So for example, one immediate that comes to mind is, whenever we go out on the street, if I'm out on the street and I'm recognizably a Hare Krishna devotee, then I'm obligated to be very aware of what impression am I making, and that's not false ego to think that. In the days when I don't wear dirty so much these days. I don't generally wear dirty these days, but then I did. For about 30 years, I only wore dirty and a shaven head, and I took actually great satisfaction whenever I would go from A to B. I would always go by the most crowded route, so as many people as possible would see me, because I thought, I'm representing Krishna. I want people to see me, and hopefully, I'll be decently dressed and so on. Or if we're going out on the Harinam, distributing the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, again, we should be very concerned actually. How does it appear? Because I've met many people that say, well, when I see the Hare Krishnas coming, they look so kind of weird across the street or something. And that's why now I know there is a growing, I'm very happy that there's a growing trend amongst our international society to actually pay more attention to the Harinam, to dance nicely, to have nice melodies, not to go berserk in the street. It's not very appealing. Most people, they can't relate to it, but most people love, nice, sweet melodies and attractive dancing. It doesn't necessarily have to be formation dancing, can be, but nicely done. And what we used to do in the early days, and the early days are by no means some sort of golden era, I didn't suggest that for a minute, but we did do one thing very well, I think, and that is that when we would go on Oxford Street daily or twice daily, I know which you do know, which is fantastic. We always went in a double line, which sometimes got us into trouble with the police, but we did. And we moved quite slowly, we didn't jog down the street. And what was the purpose of doing that? We went quite slowly actually, and we danced from side to side. And we'd have, I think we usually had a couple of men at the front and a couple of men at the back and the women in the middle. That was generally how we did it. And we went slowly, so it would take a full morning to go from, in fact actually many times we didn't make it the length of Oxford Street because we went quite slowly. And we kept it sweet. And I used to, because I was always musical, I wanted to try, I was conscious of that and I wanted to try to keep that, but other people couldn't be controlled, so I gave up after a while, trying to control the, how do you say, the flamboyance or the exuberance is the way I think. It's lovely, the exuberance, for those who are doing it. But I was put on the spot a couple of months ago. I was doing a radio program live on Radio London, and the presenter said, "Oh yeah," she said, it was Sunday morning. "Last night I was in Soho, and I saw the Hare Krishna people. They were making a fearful noise." She said, "Everyone on the street was like, oh gosh, what a noise. When are they going to go?" She said it to me on air. And she's a very nice woman. She launched my book for me actually. So I'm on air, I said, well, I had to think on my feet, So I said, well, they are just dancing and singing. maybe it's not their problem, maybe it's everyone else's. I don't know. I mean, I try to say something. But really, it shouldn't be necessary to juggle, to persuade people how nice it is to dance and sing on the street. So anyway, this is because it's in today's verse. Locopection. And we actually have it very nicely in today's verse. It gives us the two sides of the coin, because on the one hand it's true that, when I renounce the world and devote myself to Krishna, why should I care what people think anymore? And Lord Chaitanya says it's all very well, Well, he puts it perhaps a little sarcastically. He said that, Damodar and the others, they're more advanced than me. That's what he says. They're more advanced than me in receiving Krishna's mercy, so they don't care what people think. But I have to care, because I'm a sannyasi. So that's something to think about. How can we, and actually I thought it was very well put yesterday when, is it Saraswati? Is she here? Maybe, is she in the kitchen listening, perhaps? Was it Saraswati?
She's off today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because she said something, I can't remember, but it sounded familiar that she said, Prabhupada said, when it comes to presenting Krishna consciousness, you can put old wine in new bottles. You can put, the essence of Krishna consciousness, we have to think how to package it. I think she actually said that, which I appreciated. We do have to think, use our intelligence to present Krishna consciousness in a way that people find attractive. So that's today's verse. But there's so much more, 2 verses on, so I just want to take you to the conclusion of this passage. So, Lord Chaitanya said that, kind of sarcastically, unfortunately I'm not as advanced as all you people, I have to be a sannyasi. You should all therefore remain here in Nilachala for some days, while I tour the sacred places of pilgrimage alone. And then, in verse 29, so next week we'll begin from verse 30, by the way, whoever's taking note. Gorky Chopra. Next week we'll begin from verse 30, because I'm going to ahead. At the end of this little talk, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, actually the Lord was controlled by the good qualities of all his devotees. On the pretense of attributing faults, he tasted all his qualities. And Prabhupada writes, all the accusations made by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu against his beloved devotees actually showed his great appreciation of their intense love for him. Yet he mentioned these faults, one after another, as if he were offended by their intense affection. The personal associates of Lord Chaitanya sometimes behaved contrary to regulative principles, out of intense love for the Lord. And because of their love, Sri Chaitanya himself sometimes violated the regulative principles of the sannyasi. In the eyes of the public, such violations are not good. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so controlled by his devotees' love that he was obliged to break some of the rules. Although accusing them, Sri Chaitanya was indirectly indicating that he was very satisfied with their behavior in pure love of Godhead. Therefore, in verse 27 he mentions, that's this verse, that his devotees and associates place more importance on love of Krishna than on social etiquette. There are many instances of devotional service rendered by previous acharyas who didn't care about social behavior when intensely absorbed in love for Krishna. Unfortunately, and Prabhupada does say unfortunately, so long as we're within this material world, we must observe social customs to avoid criticism by the general populace. This is Lord Chaitanya's desire. So this is a special feature of Lord Chaitanya and his movement, that he, really came, his mission was to introduce ecstatic love of God, which is